If you thought Arafta was heartbreaking, you haven't seen anything yet. These Turkish dramas hit even harder and stay with you long after they end.
But before we explore the others, we need to talk about Arafta first, the story that turned revenge into something dangerously close to love. Arafta tells the story of Ateş, a man who carries deep trauma from his childhood and grows up with a strong desire for revenge. Instead of using violence, Ateş sets up a calculated plan. He marries Mirkan, the daughter of his enemy, turning their relationship into a strategic move rather than a romantic one. The marriage is limited to 187 days, making it more like a contract than a real commitment. Mirkan, unaware of Ateş's true intentions at first, agrees to the marriage after her family falls into financial ruin, hoping it will help her survive and protect what remains of her family. But once she enters a house filled with hatred, she is met with cold treatment not only from Ateş, but also from his entire family. What was meant to save her slowly turns into something painful and overwhelming. As time passes, things begin to change. Living together forces them to understand each other in ways they never expected, and the line between obligation and real feelings slowly starts to fade. What begins as a contract driven by revenge gradually turns into something far more complicated. Produced by the same studio as Arafta, Cicekleri presents a storyline that feels very similar and just as emotionally intense. Last year, the series quickly gained popularity among Dizi fans around the world. The story follows Baran and Dilan, two people from rival families. Dilan is a kind-hearted girl from a modest background who dreams of continuing her studies abroad. But her dreams fall apart when her life becomes entangled with Baran, a wealthy man driven by his desire to destroy her family, whom he blames for his mother's death. As his family pushes for revenge, Baran realizes he cannot bring himself to kill, even as his younger brother is willing to do it in his place. Not wanting his brother to ruin his life, Baran chooses to bury his anger and find another way to end the conflict, by marrying his enemy's daughter. Meanwhile, Dilan is forced to accept the marriage to save her brother, sacrificing her own freedom for his life. But fate has other plans. She turns out to be the same girl who once caught Baran's attention from their very first meeting. Caught between love and hatred, Baran still goes through with the marriage. Their relationship begins with tension and hostility, and Dilan is forced to endure harsh treatment from Baran's family. Watching her suffer slowly begins to affect him, her quiet strength and resilience breaking down his walls. As time passes, Baran starts to change, and what once meant nothing to him slowly turns into feelings he can no longer ignore. Produced by the same studio behind Arafta and Cicekleri, Ruzgarli Tepe brings a story that feels even more intense. And in my opinion, compared to the others, this one hits differently. The story follows Halil, a man shaped by tragedy after his father was falsely accused by the powerful Aslanli family, died in prison, and soon after, his mother also passed away, leaving him with nothing but pain and a deep desire for revenge. Years later, he returns home as a powerful and wealthy man, ready to destroy the family responsible for his suffering. On the other hand, there is Zeynep, the daughter of the Aslanli family. Though she appears elegant and princess-like, she is strong-willed, intelligent, and fiercely independent, a woman who refuses to be controlled. After her father's death, she becomes the pillar of her struggling family. However, her life changes drastically when she crosses paths with Halil, unaware that he is secretly planning revenge against her family. Unlike most revenge stories, Halil's plan doesn't begin with marriage. Instead, he first takes everything from the Aslanli family, including their home. There he lives among them, close to the people he wants to destroy, and even closer to Zeynep. But living under the same roof changes everything. Halil slowly starts losing control of his revenge as Zeynep becomes the center of his attention. It turns into an obsession he can't fully explain. He protects her, gets close to her, then suddenly pushes her away again. Meanwhile, Zeynep is left completely confused, unable to understand why the man who seems to hate her sometimes treats her like she's the only one that matters. As the situation worsens, Zeynep eventually agrees to marry Halil for the sake of her grandmother's declining health. But just when everything seems to fall into place, she uncovers the truth. Halil's intentions were never about love, but revenge. Even so, in reality, Halil truly loves her, though he refuses to admit it. Well, who hasn't heard of this drama? It didn't just go viral in its own country, but also gained massive attention worldwide. And for me, it's definitely one of the best Turkish dramas I've ever watched. Hercai follows Miran Aslanbey, a young businessman shaped by a painful past. After losing his parents, he is raised by his grandmother, who fills him with hatred toward the Shadolu family, blaming them for their deaths. Over time, that hatred defines him, turning revenge into his life's purpose. For years, Miran carefully plans his revenge. Slowly, he gains the trust of the Shadolu family while hiding his true intentions. As part of his plan, he gets close to Reyhan, the daughter of his enemy, determined to manipulate her into falling in love with him. But from their very first meeting, something unexpected happens. Despite his hatred and his carefully crafted plan, Miran finds himself drawn to her, falling for her in a way he refuses to admit. However, as time passes, those feelings only grow stronger. What once started as an act slowly turns into something real. Reyhan's sincerity and innocence break through his walls, and the marriage that was once part of his plan becomes his true desire, because he has genuinely fallen in love with her. But in the end, he still follows through with his original plan. Without a trace of mercy, Miran abandons Reyhan the morning after their wedding night, ignoring her desperate pleas. It is an act meant to publicly humiliate the Shadolu family and destroy their honor in the eyes of society. For Reyhan, it is a devastating betrayal. In that moment, she realizes that everything from the beginning was built on lies. Heartbroken and humiliated, she is left to face not only her pain, but also facing the anger of her own family, who feel deeply disgraced. On the other side, Miran believes everything has gone according to plan, but the satisfaction he expected never comes. Instead, he is left with an emptiness he cannot ignore. Only then does he realize the truth. He cannot live without Reyhan. He turns back, desperate to bring her with him, but he is already too late. Reyhan is deeply wounded, and the love she once had for him has turned into pain and anger. As the conflict between their families grows even more intense, Miran is finally forced to confront the weight of his own mistakes. He begins to realize that asking for forgiveness is far more difficult than seeking revenge ever was. Every step he takes toward Reyhan is filled with guilt, regret, and the fear that he may have already lost her forever. Now, all that remains is one painful question. Will his apology ever be enough for Reyhan to forgive him? If you loved Arafta, this is definitely a drama you shouldn't miss. It delivers the same intense mix of revenge, forced relationships, and emotions that slowly turn into something real. Esaret tells the story of Orhun, a wealthy and fearless businessman who shares a deep bond with his beloved twin sister, who is working as a volunteer doctor in East Africa. While traveling across the deserts to bring her back home, he unexpectedly encounters Hira, a slave woman whose beauty immediately catches his attention. But the moment doesn't last long, as he soon discovers that she is on the run, desperately trying to escape her captors who are chasing after her. After rescuing Hira, Orhun brings her along on his journey after learning that she knows his sister, believing she might lead him to her. But everything changes when he finds his sister dead, poisoned under mysterious circumstances, and Hira becomes the prime suspect. Blinded by anger and grief, Orhun refuses to believe her innocence. Instead of killing Hira, he chooses to drag her to Turkey, swearing to make her suffer for the rest of her life for what he believes she has done. Once there, Hira's life turns into a nightmare. She is stripped of her freedom, her voice, and her dignity, forced to live under his control, not just as a prisoner, but as his wife, trapped in a relationship built on revenge, pain, and silence. Day by day, she endures endless suffering, while Orhun remains blinded by his hatred, unable to see the truth. But as time goes on, what really happened to his sister slowly begins to unfold, and everything Orhun believed starts to fall apart. He begins to realize that Hira might be innocent, and by the time he understands the truth, his feelings for her have already begun to change. The anger he once held slowly turns into guilt for everything he put her through. As the walls he built around his heart begin to crumble, Orhun is forced to confront the consequences of his actions, the pain he caused, the life he destroyed, and the love he never expected to feel. Yemin, also known as The Promise, is one of the most popular Turkish dramas, loved not only in Turkey but also by international audiences. It tells the story of Reyhan and Emir, two complete strangers from very different worlds who are forced into a marriage they never truly wanted. Reyhan is a humble, kind-hearted village girl who has always lived a simple life. Out of loyalty and gratitude, she agrees to marry Emir to fulfill the final wish of Hikmet, a man who once helped her family and is now seriously ill, believing this marriage is his last hope to protect his legacy, as he does not trust his greedy wife or his reckless and irresponsible son, Emir. However, Emir accepts the marriage out of obligation, but with a hidden motive. Driven by his desire to take revenge on his father, he has no intention of being a real husband, and is determined to make Reyhan's life so miserable, hoping she will eventually beg for a divorce and set him free. After the wedding, Reyhan finds herself trapped in a cold and unwelcoming household where nothing feels like home. Her husband keeps his distance, treating her with a quiet arrogance that slowly wears her down day by day. And just when it couldn't get any harder, his mother constantly looks down on her and tries to push her away. Yet somehow, through all of it, Reyhan chooses to stay strong. She holds on to her kindness, her patience, and a quiet strength that refuses to break. But over time, something begins to change. Emir starts to notice Reyhan's sincerity, the way she continues to endure, even when she is treated unfairly. And slowly, he begins to question himself. Why is someone so innocent suffering because of his anger toward his own father? As the walls around his heart begin to fall, Reyhan also starts to see a different side of Emir, a softer, more vulnerable side that slowly changes everything between them. What started as a forced marriage filled with resentment gradually turns into a story of love, healing, and an unexpected connection. If you're looking for a gripping lovers-to-enemies drama that keeps you on the edge of your seat, Kuma, also known as The Other Wife, is a must-watch. The story follows Ceylan, a poor girl who crosses paths with Karan Chelikan, a man from a prestigious family, and from their very first meeting, they instantly fall in love, both equally drawn to each other in a way they can't explain. As time passes, their bond only grows stronger, deepening into a love that feels undeniable, leading them to dream of a future together and even plan their marriage. However, their love is far from a fairy tale. Karan's mother refuses to accept Ceylan, while his sister-in-law, who secretly harbors forbidden feelings for him, sees Ceylan as a threat that must be eliminated. Driven by jealousy and desperation, she commits a horrifying act, murdering her own husband and carefully framing Ceylan as the culprit. And when Karan finally believes the lie, the love he once held so deeply for her transforms into a burning hatred just as intense. As if that wasn't enough, Karan is forced by family tradition to marry his late brother's widow, a sacrifice made to protect the family's honor and secure custody of his niece. But to Karan, this unwanted marriage is a constant reminder of the life he lost, the life he was meant to build with Ceylon. And so, even when Ceylon is later proven innocent, it changes nothing. In Karan's heart, she remains the reason his dreams were destroyed, and his hatred has already grown too strong to be undone. Unable to let go of the past, Karan finds himself torn between the love he once felt and the bitterness that now consumes him. In the end, he makes a cruel decision, forcing Ceylon to become his Kuma, his second wife, not out of love, but as punishment. To him, she is no longer the woman he once cherished, but merely a means to continue the Kelikan bloodline, a choice that slowly strips away her dignity as a woman. And that is where Ceylon's suffering truly begins. Not only is she hated and treated with coldness and cruelty by the man who was once her greatest love, but she must also face a ruthless mother-in-law and Karan's manipulative first wife, both determined to push her out and destroy her completely. And yet, no matter how much Karan tries to deny it, he cannot lie to himself. He still loves Ceylon and cannot bear the thought of losing her. But in the end, was Karan's cruel decision truly the right one? Or will it only lead to deeper regret? And can Ceylon prove her innocence before everything she once had is lost forever?
So, which drama hit you the hardest? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more recommendations like this. Thank you for watching.